On the field, his right arm was his best tool, throwing laser shots from right field. And within the span of Roberto Clemente's 18-year career, he received 12 Gold Glove awards. He was an All-Star for 12 seasons. He achieved his 3,000th Major League hit in 1972. But that was the same year that Clemente's career came to an abrupt end. When he boarded a plane on New Year's Eve, the plane exploded. Its pieces landed in the Atlantic Ocean. No survivors. Now, 40 years after his tragic death, Roberto's family is opening up about his story, and we're happy to welcome Roberto's sons, Roberto and Luis Clemente. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this afternoon.
No, thanks for having us, Jimmy.
Got a book here that's going to be coming out very soon, and I want to ask you guys, tell us about Roberto Clemente, the loving father.
Well, he was a great dad. He was one of those guys that would look at you if you were doing something wrong. I mean, at least in my case, Mom will have to shake me because his intense look. He would look and he'd stop breathing. But he was an amazing man. He was someone that today, 40 years after his death, still remember him very well, and that's why we decided to open up and write this book. We're very excited about it.
We are looking at some of the pictures from the book that have never been seen before, and these are absolutely wonderful. We know so well what he did on the field, but there was so much that he is known for what he did off the field.
Indeed. He visited many patients in hospitals without press, cameras. He did so much for many people that he came in contact with even when he didn't even know them. All it took was for him to meet them for a first time, and he will divulge a lot of time and efforts to helping others all the time, all his life. He saved many people from having to go through surgery. He was actually a chiropractor, and doctors, general doctors would call him to see patients.
Wow.
And there's so much you're going to find out about his life through this book.
So the first Latino player elected to the Hall of Fame, how did that affect you guys as a family?
Well, obviously, that's where you want to end up after a great career, what I call the Vatican of baseball. And him not only becoming the first Latino to hit the 3,000 hit, but to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, he didn't see that because of his tragic death. But the irony of life, one of his childhood heroes was Monty Irving. And because of the Hall of Fame waiving the 5-year waiting period to be inducted, he was inducted with his hero the same day in Cooperstown. So that's one of those things, mystical things that are part of his life and something that we like to share.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out and sharing this story. But it's been 40 years since his tragic death. Why now?
Well, there's been many books published and documentaries, and we feel that, how many times can you tell the story? Well, there's a lot to the story that has never been told. And there's youngsters that are reading about that in school, and we wanted to give them, the opportunity as well to learn more of who the person was, and the fans that, the fans that are, for the little they know, have been devoted fans. We dedicate the book to the fans as well. I feel that the way, the story that we know needs to be shared, and that's why it motivated us 40 years later to come out with it.
And we receive so many letters every year from kids that are learning about Dad in school that we decided, listen, it's time for us to be able to share our story, and that's why we're doing it.
Roberto Jr., Luis Clemente, thank you so much for telling us the story. Before you go, can you tell me a little bit about what the Clemente Foundation does?
Well, we're working on creating the Clemente network that would basically have all of the different namesakes in schools be part of a network. So whenever there's a natural disaster, we want students to help us to collect the aid that will be sent out, either if it's in the States or beyond. And so if they're part of a Roberto Clemente organization, that's their call. They have to develop that humanitarian side. And in exchange, we're working to establish a major Roberto Clemente scholarship so we can offer to students that are participating in that program as well.
What an incredible example he was to be responding to relief to an earthquake when his time came. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing the story. It's an honor and privilege to talk to you, and best wishes to you. Now, if you'd like more information on the Roberto Clemente Foundation, all you have to do is go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab. Up next on Delmarva Live, hunger is a major problem around the world, but also right here on Delmarva. And that's why food bank donations are so important. Brian Spyros is at the Maryland State Police Barracks in Salisbury with more on how you can help. Brian?
Well, Jimmy, September is actually Hunger Action Month, and the Maryland State Police are trying to make sure that the Maryland Food Bank is stocked full of food for those who need it. And a simple donation will go a long way. We'll tell you what they're looking for coming up.
Plus, looking to give your home a facelift? Your siding's a great place to start, and you might be surprised how much things have changed.
The time we got the siding, the only choices were like beige, gray, just the real plain neutral colors. So we just that's what we got.
This afternoon's Angie's List report shows you just a few of the options you have now. Delmarva Live will be right back.